seated. We resume questions. Honourable First Member for Montagne Blanche and Grande Rivière Sud-Est, Mr. Baboulal.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. B21.
Madam Speaker, I am informed by the Land Drainage Authority, LDA, that it has identified 14 sites as flood-prone areas in constituency number 10, and they are as follows. Near Bel-Air SSS area, Tago Road, NS Florent, Mont-Seulement Verger, Bel-Air, Pont-Lordier, Bel-Air, Bramston and Doughter area, near Chapelle area, Clémentia, Avenue des Essachiers, Avenue Merle, Camp des Masses, Melrose, Cooperative Road, Hamsa Road, Melrose, Sans Souci, Montagne Blanche, Toutrel Road, Montagne Blanche, Avenue Périche, Montagne Blanche, and Jonction Petit Paquet Road. Madam Speaker, it is to be highlighted that the flood-prone areas are dynamic as a result of climate change and land cover changes. I am further informed that the LDA carries out regular surveys in consultation with relevant stakeholders to update the flood-prone areas in Mauritius. In order to mitigate the risk of flooding, several drain projects are being implemented under the National Flood Management Programs. In this context, I am informed that various drain projects have been completed so far, and there are presently 4 projects which are ongoing, namely Mont-Seulement, Belletan, Camp des Masses, drain works at Sans Souci Road, Montagne Blanche, drain works at Chevala Road, Petit Paquet, Montagne Blanche, near Louis Silvio House, and last, upgrading of bridge Camp Sonore, Camp des Masses Pavé. On the other hand, the District Council of Flacq is undertaking cleaning and desilting of rivers at the following sites: Bel-Air Rivière-Chesse, Clémentia, Camp des Masses Pavé, Équoyeur, Trou de Douche, Médine, and Deep River. Madam Speaker, since I joined office, I have already had meetings with various local authorities, including District Council of Flacq, in order to take cognizance of their flooding problems with a view to finding sustainable solutions. I wish to add that a meeting was also held at the Municipal Council of Port Louis on Thursday, 5th December, under the chairmanship of Honorable Govindranath Ganesh, Minister of National Infrastructure, in order to discuss on necessary actions being taken and to be taken for the cleaning of drains and rivers across the country in the wake of the raining season. Hence, all necessary actions are being taken to prevent flooding during heavy rainfall in flood-prone areas. I am tabling a list of the projects completed in constituency number 10.
Thank you. Honourable First Member for Port Louis Maritime and Port Louis East.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. B/22.
Yes, this is going to be replied, yes. Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Madam the Speaker. Madam the Speaker, you would appreciate that there has been much dilly-dally and opacity around this matter by the previous government, of course. And with your permission, I shall, of course, provide a detailed answer in order to clarify the situation. Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that the proposed amount for the donation for the refurbishment of mosque by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia amounts to $6 million USD instead of $5 million USD, as mentioned in the PQ. I wish to recall that on the 5th of August 2019, the Royal Saudi Embassy in Pretoria, South Africa, addressed a note verbal to our High Commission in Pretoria, informing that the government of Saudi Arabia had acceded to the request made by Mauritius for a donation of the sum of $6 million USD to the government of Mauritius as assistance to support the needs and requirements of the mosque in Mauritius. In June 2022, the Saudi government dispatched an interministerial delegation, mainly Maulanas, to Mauritius to conduct a visual assessment of the requirements of the mosques. The report of the Saudi delegation and its recommendations was submitted for approval to the Royal Court in Saudi Arabia. On the 7th of April 2023, the Royal Consulate General of Saudi Arabia in Mauritius sent a note verbal requesting for a draft MOU to be signed so that the Saudi side may initiate the grant procedures. The request was sent to the Prime Minister's office for consideration. The final version of the draft MOU was submitted by the Ministry of Finance, Economic Development and Planning on the 12th of October 2023, nearly 4 months after. Following internal consultations with the then Ministry of Arts and Cultural Heritage, the initial draft MOU was amended to reflect the new proposals, and same was vetted by the Solicitor General. On the 18th of October 2023, the embassy in Riyadh transmitted the draft MOU in English to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Saudi Arabia through diplomatic channel. The same MOU was translated in Arabic and transmitted to the Saudi authorities on the 26th of October 2023. In February 2024, the Ministry of Islamic Affairs, Dawah and Guidance of Saudi Arabia informed that the MOU would be finalized after completion of all the procedures. The Saudi ambassador in Mauritius was expected to facilitate the process, as the latter holds the authority for the signature of the MOU and the disbursement of the first installment. The whole process, Madam the Speaker, for disbursement was to be completed as follows. The payment was to be made in 3 installments from the Saudi government. The work was to be implemented in 3 phases. The first phase was to cover 65 to 75 mosques approximately. On the 25th of June 2024, the Saudi authorities informed the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Regional Integration and International Trade of the proposal to add an additional clause to Article 3 of the draft MOU. On the 4th of July 2024, the then Ministry of Arts and Culture Heritage informed the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Regional Integration and International Trade that legal advice of the Solicitor General was sought with regards to the additional clause proposed by the Saudi authorities. The Solicitor General advised that the clause proposed by the Saudi authorities should be incorporated in the draft MOU. The Solicitor General also proposed some minor changes. On the 4th of July 2024, the amended draft MOU incorporating amendments proposed by both sides was sent to the Embassy of Saudi Arabia in Mauritius with a request to expedite the signature of the MOU. On the 22nd of August 2024, Mission in Riyadh forwarded the last version of the MOU, including the amendments proposed by the Solicitor General, officially translated in Arabic. On the 23rd of August 2024, the draft MOU, the English version, along with the translated version in Arabic, was sent to the Embassy of Saudi Arabia in Mauritius. Cabinet noted inter alia at its meeting of the 23rd of August 2024 that the final agreement of the Saudi authorities is still awaited. On the 6th of September 2024, the Embassy of Saudi Arabia in Mauritius sent a final version of the MOU between the Ministry of Islamic Affairs, Dawah and Guidance in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the Trust Fund of the Islamic Cultural Office in Mauritius. According to available records at the Ministry, on the same date, an entry was made to the effect that a correspondence on that matter was dispatched to the Prime Minister's office by my ministry. It is a matter of concern, Madam the Speaker, that neither the original letter nor a copy thereof could be traced out from the record. On the 10th of September 2024, a meeting was held with the Saudi ambassador in Mauritius with the former Prime Minister to discuss the way forward. But we have not been informed of the outcome of that meeting. On the 16th of September 2024, as the issue was brought to the forefront, following publication of an internal note from the Ministry, a communiqué was issued by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Regional Integration and International Trade to confirm that with regard to the proposed donation of 6 million USD from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, no disbursement has been effected whatsoever to Mauritius as at date. Since the 6th of September 2024, Madam the Speaker, no progress whatsoever was made on this issue from the then government, despite persistent questions being raised in the media. On the 27th of November 2024, when the new government took office, following a request from my ministry for clarification, the Embassy of Saudi Arabia informed the ministry that they had already submitted the final version of the MOU since the 6th of September 2024 to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Regional Integration and International Trade to be finalized. On the 9th of December 2024, the Embassy of Saudi Arabia once again confirmed that the final MOU was sent on the 6th of September 2024, and a copy of same has been forwarded anew to my ministry. Madam the Speaker, my ministry now proposes to take up the matter upon the return of the Ambassador of Saudi Arabia, who is currently out of the country. Thank you, Madam the Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. Yes, Mr. Juan.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Merci d'abord d'avoir restauré la démocratie parlementaire. Madam Speaker, it's a matter of great concern listening to the reply of the Minister. If official documents are missing from file, can I know from the Honourable Minister if he will consider referring the matter for inquiry regarding the missing documents?
Yes, I can confirm to the Honourable Member that I have already asked the officers of my ministry to initiate an inquiry, and if need be, the matter will be referred to the police.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Does the Honourable Minister, now it's been 5 years, more than 5 years, does the Honourable Minister intend to speed up the process since it has been more than 5 years, as I said?
He's replied to that. He's already replied to that.
No,
Never mind. Go ahead, go ahead.
I can reassure the Honourable Member that as soon as the Ambassador of Saudi Arabia will be back to the country, I'm going to speak to him, and I will see to it that the matter is being speeded up.
Yes, that's it. Your next question, please.
Thank you, Madam. B/23.
Madam Speaker, first let me thank Honourable Member for his question, which is of utmost public interest, the more so that his question concerns funds related to the past and present contributions of workers and their future pension entitlements. I also understood from the Hansard of this Assembly that the Honourable Member was ordered out and asked to be collected from this Assembly when he asked a similar question to the then Minister of Social Integration, Social Security and National Solidarity in 2024. The Honourable Member can now rest assured that as the new Minister, I will answer all questions which is of public interest. This is why this House is made for. I will further expand on this aspect later in my reply. Second, I am assuming that when in his question, the Honourable Minister made reference to the National Solidarity Fund, when in fact he is referring to the National Savings Fund. Thus, I will respond.
You mean the Honourable Member?
Honourable Member. In relation to the second part of the question, I'm also assuming that when the Honourable Member is referring to the investments in United Investments Limited, UIL, he is also referring to Whole Attitude Limited, which is a related company of UIL and was created as a result of a restructuring of UIL's level in 2019. Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that, first, the National Pensions Fund, NPF, was established under Section 37 of the National Pensions Act 1976, with the objective to have a publicly run contributory pension system to provide for various types of pensions to workers of this country. The NPF is administered by the Minister of Social Security and the NPF-NSF Investment Committee, set up as per Section 38 of the National Pensions Act 1976. In 2020, the previous government unilaterally, without consultations with stakeholders, decided to do away with the National Pension Scheme. Thus, since October 2020, employees and employers no more contribute to the NPF. The Ministry is now administering the past contributions made to the fund. The National Saving Fund, NSF, was established under Section 3 of the National Saving Fund Act 1995, with the objectives to provide for the payment of a lump sum to every employee on his retirement or in respect of every employee at the time of his death, and to set up and operate for the benefits of employees such schemes, including loan schemes, as may be prescribed. Employers contribute 2.5 in respect of each employee. Thus, the fund is still operational and administered by my ministry. Madam Speaker, in regards to Part A of the question, I am informed that at the end of September 2024, the total value of investments of the NPF stood at around 160.5 billion rupees, and the value of investment of the NSF stood at around 45.5 billion rupees. I am also pleased to announce to the Honourable Member in this House that in line with the policy of change and rupture of the new government, I am tabling today the full detailed list of investments for both NPF and NSF as at September 2024. Total disclosure to the National Assembly on matters of public interest and public funds will henceforth be the norm of my ministry, thus creating conditions for citizens' monitoring and watchdog on matters of public interest and public funds. Madam Speaker, with regard to Part B of the question, I am informed that the amount invested in United Investments Limited has not yet been recovered. I wish to inform the House that UIL is an investment holding company quoted on the Mauritian Development and Enterprise Market, DEM. After an internal restructuring of the company, the financial and non-financial clusters of UIL were separated, and thereafter Whole Attitude Limited was regrouped under the hospitality cluster. The NPF and NSF now deal with Whole Attitude Limited. Madam Speaker, in March 2022, NPF and NSF invested in aggregate an amount of 1.5 billion in secured bond issued by Whole Attitude Limited and split as follows. NPF, 1,001,439,000 rupees. NSF, 448,561,000 rupees. The security offered was a pledge of 40% stake in the shares of Attitude Hospitality Limited. As at February 2024, these shares were valued at around 2.29 billion by KPMG. As at 3 December 2024, Whole Attitude Limited owes an amount of 1,084,948,311 rupees to NPF, and 485,960,194 rupees to NSF. I am tabling the details of the respective amounts owed by Whole Attitude Limited as at 3rd December 2024 to the NPF and NSF. For the period of March to September 2023, there was accrued interest of 89.5 million for the NPF and 40.1 million for NSF, which was settled on the 12th June 2024. Penalty of 3% above applicable interest rate on account of late payment of interest, which was due on the 30th September 2023, was also received on 1st July 2024 for an amount of 10.8 million rupees. Madam Speaker, I am further informed that on the 20th September 2024, Whole Attitude Limited made a request to the NPF-NSF Investment Committee to extend the maturity date of 30th September 2024 to 31st March 2025 to give them time to list the shares of Attitude Hospitality Limited in the Stock Exchange of Mauritius. Whole Attitude Limited was informed via a letter dated 24th September 2024 that the NPF-NSF Investment Committee will not grant any delay in the repayment date, and they were strictly reminded to settle the amount due together with the interest on the due date on the 30th September 2024. The NPF-NSF Investment Committee has decided on the 20th September 2024 that in the event that Whole Attitude Limited would not repay the capital amount of the bond and interest due for the period 1st October 2023 to 30th September 2024, NPF and NSF will trigger the event of default and will initiate procedures with the security agent State Bank of Mauritius Limited so that these pledged shares would be transferred to the ownership of NPF and NSF. According to the notes subscription agreement, the event of default could not be triggered after 5 business days after the due date of 30th September 2024. Madam Speaker, I wish to point that Whole Attitude Limited made another request via a letter dated 30th September 2024, that is on the due date, requesting the NPF and NSF Investment Committee to extend the capital repayment for a period of 2 to 3 years or earlier. Upon listing of Attitude Hospitality Limited, they have also made a request to delay the repayment of interest due on 30th September to 31st December 2024. The NPF-NSF Investment Committee met with the representatives of Whole Attitude Limited on the 2nd October 2024. They explained to the committee the series of events that have prevented them from paying the debts due to NPF and NSF. I am informed that the NPF-NSF Investment Committee deliberated and agreed to the extension of capital repayment until 31st March 2025, but interest due was to be paid immediately. AHL informed the NPF and NSF that they would only be able to repay the interest due in September 2024 by end of December 2024, following the sale of some of their clusters under UIL Limited. It is also to be noted that a penalty of 3% above applicable interest rate is being imposed on all Attitude Limited for the delay in repayment of interest and capital. As at date, interest due on 30th December 2024 has not yet been settled. The NPF-NPS NSF Investment Committee is closely monitoring the situation regarding the repayment of capital and recovery of interest with respect to investment by NPF and NSF in Whole Attitude Limited. In line with the provision of the existing law and the subscription agreement, in the event of default, the NPF NSF Investment Committee will have to take a decision in the sole and best interest of the two funds, the NPF and the NSF. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Yes, Mr.
Merci, Madame la Présidente.
It was very comprehensive,
Yes.
but you still have a question.
Yes, I still have. Thank you. Merci, Monsieur le Ministre.
Découragé.
Et malgré l'assurance donnée par l'ancienne ministre que la totalité de la somme, 1,45 milliard de roupies, sont remboursées en fin octobre, ça n'a pas été le cas. Maintenant, on est en situation où même l'intérêt, il n'arrive pas à payer. On a 1,45 milliard de roupies qui sont à risque. Monsieur le ministre, est-ce qu'on doit attendre jusqu'à mars pour pouvoir récupérer l'argent des travailleurs, la sueur des travailleurs venant de la Suède?
The issue will be discussed, I am informed, in the next meeting of the NPF-NSF Investment Committee. I am also informed that the committee couldn't meet because of lack of quorum in the two previous meetings.
Last, Madam Speaker, thank you. Can I know from the Honourable Minister if there has been any due diligence exercise conducted on UIL, and if yes, who conducted same, and if not, why not?
I don't have this information, but I can assure the member when I have the information, I inform the House.
Okay. Your last question was already replied, so I will now move to ask Honourable Second Member for Rodrigues, Mr. François.
Yes, thank you. B25.
Madam Speaker, I'm informed by Rodrigues Regional Assembly that the CT scan apparatus at Queen Elizabeth Hospital is not operational since 1st December 2023, while the X-ray apparatus is functional. Madam Speaker, I'm further informed that the only CT scan of the island is not operational despite numerous interventions being done by technicians from the supplier who proceeded to Rodrigues in October last. In fact, a technician arrived in Rodrigues from South Africa in October 24 and initiated the repair of the CT scanner. The Commission for Health and others is continuously proceeding with repairs and other intervention on this equipment, which is costly to the Rodrigues Regional Assembly. Therefore, prior to approving any further intervention on the equipment in November 2024, the Commission has sought the technical advice and expertise of my ministry for the preparation of specifications of a new, more performing CT scanner. The Rodrigues Regional Assembly would make funds available within its budget estimates financial year 24-25 for the purchase of a new CT scanner. Madam Speaker, meanwhile, patients requiring CT scan are being referred to Mauritius, and the cost of travel and accommodation for the patient and accompanying family member are being borne by the Commission.
Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Would the Honourable Minister agree with me that there is the agency for remedial action to save people's lives in Rodrigues? And you will recall the recent tragedy of the little EG, as raised by Honourable Savabadi in PQB 13. She was medically transferred to Mauritius from Rodrigues, as there is no CT scan in Rodrigues. There is agency.
Madam Speaker, we are aware of this problem. That is the reason why we are precipitating in this issue. We are hardly 2 weeks old now, so we can, within a few months, we can do the needful. That's all I can assure you.
Thank you. Your next question, please.
Yes, B26.
Thank you. I thank the honourable member for putting this question. Madam Speaker, I am informed that on the 15th November 2024, while inspecting the fishing vessel Chan Fong 2 in Port-Maturin, officers of the National Coast Guard and the Fisheries Protection Service of Rodrigues had discovered several shark's fins measuring between 7 and 57 centimeters on board the vessel. As party to the South Indian Ocean Fisheries Association and Indian Ocean Tuna Commission, Mauritius cannot remain indifferent and insensitive to the worst form of cruelty. A sharp knife was used to slice the fin and the bleeding shark thrown into high seas to die. Unfortunately, the fine for this serious offence is a fixed penalty of 5,000 rupees only. I will seek advice from the State Law Office to review the fine. Since we have a national plan for conservation of sharks, the killer should not get away. A contravention has been established against the vessel for breach of Section 28 of the Fisheries Act 2023, namely for prohibition and removal, prohibition and removal and sale of shark fins. The shark fins have been seized and the matter will be prosecuted before the Court of Justice in Rodrigues. If proved guilty, the operator will be liable to pay a fine not exceeding 40 million rupees or 5 years of imprisonment. I'm further informed, and I was rather shocked and flabbergasted to learn that the vessel left Rodrigues on the 16th November 2024 and reached Port Louis Harbour on 21st November 2024 after a fishing campaign on the Hawkins Bay. On its arrival in port, the vessel was inspected, and this exercise revealed the presence of toxic fish, namely barracuda, on board. In this respect, the master of the vessel was issued a fixed penalty notice under Section 202 of the Fisheries Act 2023. The master has up to 12 December 2024 to pay the fixed penalty, failing which the matter will be prosecuted in court. Moreover, it was also noted during the inspection that the information contained in the logbook was inaccurate and incomplete. As this is an infringement under Section 46(2) of the Fisheries Act, my minister has initiated an investigation in view of prosecuting the operator. If found guilty, the latter would again be liable to pay a fine not exceeding 40 million rupees or 5 years of imprisonment. Madam Speaker, I am also informed that on the 23rd November 2024, Froid de Mascarin Limited had refused to take part of the fish that was on board the vessel as it did not meet the temperature for preservation of frozen fish, which is equal or less than minus 80 degrees Celsius. The Minister of Health investigated into the matter and determined that the fish was deemed to be unfit for human consumption in breach of Section 143 1B of Food Regulations 2024. The fish was accordingly disposed of at sea at a distance of about 9.3 nautical miles from Port Louis. This operation was supervised by officers of my minister and the Minister of Health. The fishing vessel is moored in the port of Port Louis and will not be allowed to sail for fishing expedition.
Thank you, Minister. Honourable First Member for Montenegro.
Madam Speaker.
Sorry. You didn't catch my eye. I've already called it. I'm so sorry. We've got only 30 minutes to go. Let's give a chance to everybody to... We won't reach the end. So let's move on with Mr. Babulal, Honourable First Member for Montenegro.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. B27.
Madam Speaker, I am informed that on Friday, 29th November 2024, around 1940 hours, Mrs. M.C.N.L. noticed that her granddaughter, late minor E.K.G., 7 years old, was nowhere to be found. The minor was spending her school holidays at her place since 23rd November 2024. The grandmother proceeded to Bandidam police station to report the matter. There, the police officers viewed the CCTV footage of the region, which revealed that a man was holding the hand of the minor and was walking towards Cassie Bridge. The grandmother identified the man as one A.R. Madam Speaker, I'm also informed that on 30th November 2024, at 4 hours, police arrested the alleged perpetrator, Mr. A.R., residing at La Butte, Port-Louis. The latter confessed having murdered minor E.K.G. The dead body was found in a wasteland behind St. George Cemetery at Bandidam. An autopsy was conducted by the police medical officer. The cause of death was attributed to asphyxia by choking. Madam Speaker, on the same day, I visited the grandmother at Bandidam, Cassie, and the biological mother at Chebel. I remained in contact with the biological father by phone. Meanwhile, officers of my ministry visited the relatives, where necessary psychological support and counseling were provided to them. Madam Speaker, I would also wish to draw the attention of the House that following further investigations, it was revealed that the suspect published on social media several pictures of himself with 3 other minors sitting on a bed, each holding a bottle of alcoholic drink. At the material time of the death of late minor E.K.G., the pictures were still on social media. It would appear that this post has been online since last year. Madam Speaker, as soon as I was made aware of these publications, I immediately gave instructions to officers of my ministry to report the matter to the Cybercrime Unit on 2nd December 2024 and to have this post removed. The suspicious nature of these pictures has triggered an inquiry at the level of my ministry. Upon identification from the outset, a psychological assessment was also carried out with the 3 minors. Madam Speaker, I personally instructed that an emergency protection order be applied for before the Children's Court, in line with the provision of the Children's Act 2020, to enable medical examinations of the 3 minors. Madam Speaker, I wish to reiterate that violence against children in all its forms would not be tolerated by this government. This horrible crime against that child is testimony that we still have to strengthen our legislation, place increased emphasis on education and communication campaigns to sensitize all citizens on the need to protect our children. There is also the need to report on any ill treatment and harm upon a child or any suspected risk. Madam Speaker, a new protocol of collaboration with the police is being designed to tackle more efficiently such cases in the future. The Assise de la Femme et de la Famille, which is being held today itself, will serve as a crucial platform allowing NGOs as well as social and community workers to provide useful information which will serve to redefine our policies and action plans, aiming at the development of innovative and re-engineered policies for the welfare and protection of families, especially our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Mr. Babalal, your last question.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. B28.
Madam Speaker, I am informed by the National Land Transport Authority, NLTA, that a regular bus service does exist at the Flacq Hospital, the new Flacq Hospital, to service the approximate 870 visitors calling thereat daily. Currently, individual bus operators licensed to operate along bus routes 176, 112, and 232 are performing some 36 trips on a daily basis at an average interval of 30 to 40 minutes, starting from 4:45 in the morning up until 1900 hours. Furthermore, since the operation of the new Flacq Hospital in August this year, the NLTA has extended the itinerary of buses plying along routes 15, 16, and 17, and as such, 6 additional trips are performed along the said routes to the hospital daily. Madam Speaker, moreover, the 32-seater buses of the NTC provide shuttle service from the hospital to Central Flacq, whereby some 18 trips are carried out from 6 o'clock in the morning up until 1800 hours. Additionally, some 159 taxis based in and around neighboring localities along with those 30 taxis based at the new Flacq Hospital provide shuttle service to and fro from the hospital throughout the day. As the new Flacq Hospital has recently been made operational, there are inevitably some teething issues with regard to the public transport which still need to be addressed. In this context, the NLTA has been requested by myself to extend the services of buses operating along routes 18, 56, 55, and 194, which ply through the regions of Montagne Blanche and Grande Rivière South-Sud-Est to enable the inhabitants thereat to easily access the new Flacq Hospital. Madam Speaker, following this parliamentary question, I have also requested the NLTA to effect a site visit to assess the level of service at the new Flacq Hospital, and I stand informed that no issues have been observed as regards the level of bus service at the new Flacq Hospital. I further stand guided by the regulator that initially complaints had been received at its level regarding the fact that passengers were alighting and boarding buses in a haphazard manner outside the newly constructed traffic center situated adjacent to the hospital, and this constituted a road safety hazard. In this context, following instruction from the NLTA, the individual bus operators are alighting and collecting passengers from the traffic center. On the other hand, the Traffic Management and Road Safety Unit has already placed appropriate traffic signs thereat to deter buses from stopping along that main road, while the police has been informed that regular patrols are being ensured thereat. Madam Speaker, to end, I am informed that my colleague, the Minister of Health and Wellness, will be holding a site visit tomorrow with all relevant stakeholders, including representatives from my ministry, to look into the issues raised in this parliamentary question, as well as to look at ways and means to further facilitate bus users going in and out of the hospital. I am also informed that 2 site visits have already been conducted by the Director of Health Services, along with representatives of my ministry. We remain open to the recommendations of this committee, led by my colleague, the Minister of Health, like I said just now, a former Minister of Land Transport himself, and who is very familiar with the domain. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Yes. Honourable Third Member for Port-Louis North and Montagne Longue. Mr. Kazet.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. B/29.
Yes.
Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the Land Drainage Authority that the region of Vallée and its surroundings, including Moselle-Moramlagan, have on 20 April 2021 been declared as a high-risk flood-prone area On 13 March 2022, following heavy rainfall, the region of Mosul-Mohamlagan was seriously inundated. In view of the potential risk to life, the following temporary measures were prescribed by the LDA for mitigating flooding thereafter. First, removal of all encroachments and obstructions and restoration of the natural drainage path within Mosul-Mohamlagan. Second, restoration of the rivulet reserve and the removal of debris at River Latanier. Third, rivulet training works, that is realignment of a stretch of 850 meters. These have been carried out by the National Development Unit and the Municipal City Council of Port Louis. Madam Speaker, in addition, the LDA recommended the construction of a flood wall at Mosul-Mohamlagan to be implemented by the NDU, and the upgrading of the existing bridge along Bernardet de Saint-Pierre Road to ensure adequate hydraulic capacity to be carried out by the RDA. To that effect, the NDU appointed Benchmark Consulting Engineers Limited, which submitted a preliminary design report on 12 May 2022 and a detailed design report on 15 March 2023. The following flood mitigating measures have been proposed by the consultant. Construction of a cut-off drain at the foot of Mountain Le Pouce of varying dimensions, which discharges incoming flows into Latanier River through the tributaries, upgrading, desilting lining of the existing tributaries and River Latanier, construction of flood wall of 4 meter high to protect the existing build-up settlement, and upgrading the existing bridges, culverts along the different water courses. Madam Speaker, it was also envisaged that the consultant would conduct a geotechnical investigation prior to the implementation of the project. However, in view of the significant delay by the consultant, the project has been referred to the DICL on 9 August 2023, except for the construction of the flood wall, which would be implemented by the NDU. As at date, the LDA and the DICL are reviewing the design. Concurrently, the latter has awarded a contract to Water Research Company Limited on 4th October 2024 to carry a geotechnical investigation. Same is expected to be completed by end February 2025. Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Center called a site meeting on 18 November 2024, where representatives of the NDU, DICL, amongst other stakeholders were present. At the meeting, it was agreed that the DICL would take over the project. Madam Speaker, as regards the works allocated to the RDA, I am informed that the latter awarded a contract to Gamma Construction on 28 September 2022 for the following works: demolition of existing Bernardet de Saint-Pierre Bridge, construction of a new reinforced concrete bridge of 21 meters wide and 3 meters deep, and relocation of existing services. The implementation of the project suffered delays due to land acquisition issues, rerouting of sewer lines, and traffic diversion. Works resumed in April 2024 and continued till August 2024, after which the traffic diversion scheme was communicated to the public. Unfortunately, this diversion scheme could not be implemented due to protests from the inhabitants. The RDA is currently working on an alternative design which may entail further land acquisition. Works are expected to restart by end of January 2025, and the construction period is estimated to be 8 months. Madam Speaker, over and above to the proposed measures I mentioned earlier, regular desilting of River Latanier has been undertaken. For instance, in July 2022, desilting of the river over a length of 5 kilometers was carried out. In March 2024, some 8.5 kilometers of the river was desilted. Some 14 million was spent for the desilting works. Madam Speaker, following torrential rainfall in April 2024, River Latanier has been silted again. As an urgent measure, the Municipal City Council of Port-Louis has been requested to undertake desilting works of a stretch of 600 meters along Moselma-Ramlagan. I am further informed that the Ministry of Local Government and Disaster Risk Management is currently seeking financial clearance for the desilting of another 8 kilometers of River Latanier. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Your next question, Mr. Kazan?
Yes, Madam Speaker. B/30.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I am informed by the Municipal City Council of Port-Louis, MCCPL, that an initial contract was awarded on 13 July 2021 for the project construction of multipurpose complex and music school at the Abercrombie Market Fair. However, both the contract of the consultant and contractor had to be terminated given that there were disagreements between the contractor and the consultant due to several issues such as certification of payments, approval of materials and methodologies, among others. Subsequently, on 13 October 2022, the Ministry of Local Government requested the Ministry of National Infrastructure to provide a technical team to the MCCPL to design and complete the project. Madam the Speaker, I'm informed by the MCCPL that the scope of works is as follows. Consolidation works and ancillaries at the ground floor of the existing market fair area in phases and make good. Refurbishment of existing toilets and painting works for the whole market fairs, not included in initial contract. Completion of all outstanding works and allied works of the multi-sports complex at first floor. Electrical and mechanical works and last temporary shelter to relocate stall holders during consolidation works at ground floor. The proposed duration of the work is 300 days. A first bidding exercise was undertaken by the MCCPL, though the Central Procurement Board, CPB, on 29 March 2024, and by the closing date of 7 May 2024, 2 bids were received. After evaluation of the bids, both were found to be non-responsive. In this respect, the MCCPL brought some amendments to the bidding documents or requested by the CPB. Same was submitted to the CPB on 29 November 2024 for vetting prior to invitation of bids. Madam Speaker, with regard to the cost of the project, same would be known only after the award of the contract.
Thank you. Your last question, Mr. Kazan?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. B/31.
And that will be the last question for today because we're reaching the time now. I'm sorry.
Madam Speaker, I wish to highlight to the House that relocation of methadone dispensing to another site without proper planning would tantamount to transferring these inconveniences to other regions. I have been made aware that the Ministry has already embarked on a decentralization process with a view to decreasing overcrowding at the dispensing sites and hence minimizing any inconvenience. In this regard, stable methadone beneficiaries are being relocated to our primary health facilities, and this is a slow process. Madam Speaker, I am further informed that the whole project of decentralization of methadone dispensing will be addressed in the forthcoming National Drug Control Master Plan, which is being finalized by the National Drug Secretariat under the Prime Minister's Office with all stakeholders, including my ministry.
Thank you. Okay. Honourable Third Member, we still have a few minutes left. Third Member for Kati Milita and Muka. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. B/32.
We have 9 minutes left.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I thank the honourable member for his question. Allow me. Plots of state land in Réduit Triangle were allocated to various governmental and non-governmental organizations, including 6 socio-cultural organizations. Oh, it's the next one.
it's a
32,
PQ
apologies.
B32.
I was in a hurry, so I'll sit down.
B32.
Not mine.
You'll have to hold your horses.
Yes, Madam Speaker. I'm informed that the Central Water Authority has undertaken renewal works for the aging water pipe structure in the region of Nouvelle Découverte and Abercrombie, Saint-Pierre. This project aims to address challenges and frequent bursts and leakages due to the pipeline having exceeded their intended life. A project for the renewal of pipelines at Nouvelle Découverte concerns approximately 1.6 kilometers of pipe along Rousset Road, Sivala Road, and Jeku Road. Madam Speaker, regarding part A of the question, I am informed by the Central Water Authority that on 25 April 2024, Pride Civil Engineering Contractor Limited was awarded the contract for the renewal of pipelines at Nouvelle Découverte, Phase 1, in the sum of 8,165,535 rupees. The contract was for a duration of 90 days. The project commenced on the 19th of May 2024 with a scheduled completion date of 17 August 2024, which was revised to 31st August 2024 due to an extension of time granted. The actual completion was 25th October 2024. I'm further informed, Madam Speaker, that a variation order in the sum of 1,821,165 rupees was issued to the contractor for the laying of temporary trench asphalt, bringing the total value to 9,986,700 rupees. As per the condition of contract, liquidated damages of 10,000 per day are applicable for each day of delay, with a maximum amount of liquidated damage being 10% of the contract value. I am informed that the project was supervised in-house by the Central Water Authority Planning Design Department. Assessment on site was conducted by the technical officers of the Central Water Authority. According to the assessment of work carried out, the shifting of connection was completed on the 25th of October to 2024, following testing, disinfection, and connection work. The Central Water Authority further informed that an interim payment made to the contractor, that is Pride, to date stand at 6,443,098.25 rupees. The Central Water Authority was informed on contractors on 5th September 2024 that delay damages of 10,000 rupees daily will be applicable in line with the sub-clause 46.1 on the condition of contract. No liquidated damage has been applied yet by the Central Water Authority. As far as l'agrément Saint-Pierre, Madam Speaker, I am informed that the distribution network comprises of asbestos concrete pipes along Mercedes Road and Slaterol at Saint-Pierre. These pipes have exceeded their lifespan and need to be replaced. The project started in 7 April 2024 with a scheduled completion date of 15 October 2024. The supervision and assessment of the project was carried out by the Planning and Design Department of the Central Water Authority. That's all. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yes. We have a few minutes left. Third member for Quartier Militaire. Your next question.
Madam Speaker, B33.
Now, Honourable Minister.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll try to be very quick. So as I said earlier on, when it wasn't my turn, Madam Speaker, plots of state land in Réduit Triangle were allocated to various governmental and non-governmental organizations, including 6 sociocultural organizations. There was an application for state land on the 22nd of June 2024 by Luxury Retirement Village Limited. And in March 2023, if we follow the sequence of events. In March 2023, however, the then government decided to retrieve all undeveloped plots of state land allocated in Réduit Triangle. The 6 socio-cultural organizations, the status as at March 2023 was as follows. Maharashtra Bhavan had been constructed on a plot of land allocated to the Mauritius Marathi Mandali Federation. A socio-cultural center had been constructed on the plot of land allocated to the Mauritius Sanatan Dharma Temples Federation. And the 4 plots of land allocated to the Hindi-speaking union, Indo-Mauritian Catholic Association and the Mauritius Tamil Cultural Center Trust, as well as the Urdu-speaking union, were undeveloped. In April 2023, with the 48 hours notice to start construction over the leased plots of undeveloped land, government had decided, following that 48 hours notice, to pull back the lease and to cancel the lease of all those 4 plots of land. Following that, Madam Speaker, I'm informed that there are court cases that are pending. In April 2024, there was a plaintiff summons which was upon the Ministry of Housing and Land and the Ministry of Arts and Culture by the, and the co-defendants was the Mauritius Tamil Cultural Center Trust. These plaintiffs in the plaintiff summons claimed that they were beneficiaries of the Mauritius Tamil Cultural Center Trust, and as such there was another case that was also entered by the Indo-Mauritian Catholic Association against my ministry back in July 2024. As we speak, the letter of reservation, which was issued to in 16th of October of 2023 to Luxury Retirement Village over the plots of land of, that were retrieved from the Hindi-speaking union and the Urdu-speaking union. And as it stands today, the plot has been fenced. In spite of the fact that it is only a letter of reservation, and it has not, we have not, this doesn't mean title has passed. They have fenced, the Luxury Retirement Village has fenced, in my view, wrongly, the land allocated to it. And as such, it has not even informed the Ministry of Housing and Land that it is fencing the place. The plots of land, the state land retrieved from Indo-Mauritian Catholic Association and the Mauritius Tamil Cultural Center Trust are, as we speak, still uncommitted and undeveloped. In the circumstances, I propose to meet the representatives of the 4 organizations, meaning the Mauritius Catholic, Indo-Mauritian Catholic Association, the Mauritius Tamil Cultural Center Trust, as well as the Hindi-speaking union and the Urdu-speaking union, to find the solution, because there is a commitment that has been taken by, before elections and after elections, that those plots of land, if uncommitted and undeveloped, would be returned. And this is what we're doing. We're sticking to our commitment, and we are returning those lands. We are going to embark upon discussions in order to find out what would be the most practical way to do it. Also, I'm also considering to refer the matter to the Honorable Attorney General's office. Why? It's because part of the letter of reservation makes reference to Luxury Village, makes reference to the fact that they need to have the informed, if there is, in the event that the company wishes to raise capital through equity financing, prior written approval of the ministry should be obtained. And such issue or transfer or shares shall be up to a maximum of 30%. So prior to issues of equity financing being raised, there needs to be a written authorization. Same was not done. And as such, I am also aware that there's been negotiations with the MIC and the State Bank by that same company, and to the tune of several hundred million rupees, without the ministry being, the authorization being sought first. There is therefore potentially another violation of the letter of reservation. So this matter will be referred to the Attorney General's office with the view of seeking his advice whether this letter of reservation can be cancelled, and if being cancelled, can simply, in what way it will be done in a lawful manner. This is my answer, Madam Speaker.
Prime Minister. Now time is really up, but I have to inform you that a few questions have been withdrawn. PQ1, B2, PQ B34, B35 and B36. Honourable members who haven't reached their PQs, they can get written replies. You maintain you want to remove your honourable member. You want Jaman, Mr. Jaman?
Yes, I want to remove it so that I can take it next session.
Yeah, and then you can come back, of course. No issues then. So now,
Statements by ministers.
yes. Honourable Prime Minister, floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. With your permission, I would like to make a statement with regard to the state of the economy. And I will, of course, be tabling the document afterwards. Madam Speaker, it is with great concern that I present the document to the House and to the nation. I say great concern because the previous government has left us an economy which is in an unprecedented state of precariousness. The legacy of the previous government is disastrous, to say the least. And the nation would be appalled when they take cognizance of the way the previous government has dilapidated the finances of our country. It is shocking, Madam Speaker. They have fumbled and jumbled all the macroeconomic fundamentals. The damages done to our socio-economic and environmental fabric defy description. Madam Speaker, let me start with the macroeconomic fundamentals. Firstly, they have grossly exaggerated the GDP growth rates to fool the population into believing that there is an economic boom. There is no such economic boom. In fact, it is the very opposite of what they have said. It is now obvious that this was but a very dangerous political gimmick that eventually seemed a fate. A reassessment of the national accounts by Statistics Mauritius has resulted in a downward revision in GDP figures for every year since 2022. These downward revisions were more pronounced in 2023 and 2024. The nominal GDP for 2023 has been reduced by close to 22 billion rupees. 22 milliards, Madame la Présidente. Compared to data published in September 2024, therefore in real terms, the downward revision is 1.4%, which is a lot. Similarly, the forecast for nominal GDP for 2024 has been reduced by more than 36 billion rupees, 36 milliards. I don't know if members realize what all these figures mean. To arrive at these inflated figures, it appears that the growth of the construction industry in particular was deliberately overestimated. Indeed, the new assessment by Statistics Mauritius indicates that GDP growth was deliberately exaggerated by intimating that the construction industry would grow by 37.4% in 2023 and 38.8% in 2024, as published in September 2024. These figures were manifestly overstated. I'm putting it mildly. Statistics Mauritius has significantly lowered these growth rates to 21.3% and 25%, respectively. The previous government, Madam Speaker, has been boasting of high GDP growth rates in recent years. Let me stress that these GDP growth rate post-COVID is a normal process of post-COVID recovery, and in no way reflects any kind of new dynamism in the economy. In fact, Mauritius has taken more time than its peers to recover from the COVID-related recession. In 2023, the GDP in US dollars for Mauritius was still below its pre-pandemic level. Secondly, investment in our economy has been on a declining trend as a percentage of GDP during the past 10 years. Madam Speaker, one doesn't need to have a doctorate de la Sorbonne to know that low investment means low growth. A student, O-level student on economics knows that, Madam Speaker. Yet what do we see? The average annual investment rate has declined from 21.9% during 2010-2014 to 18.5% during the period 2015 to 2023. The average annual private investment rate over the same period has also declined significantly, from 16.6% to 14.1%. In a country where more than 80% of wealth is generated by private enterprises, this low private investment must be very worrying. The situation has been caused mostly by visible deterioration in the public-private sector partnership. It is unthinkable how a government can destroy one of the most important institutional strengths in our country's economic development. Madam Speaker, this core strength has to be restored. Thirdly, the trends in our external sector, that is import and exports, and the balance of payment have also been worsened by the pathetic mismanagement of the previous government. The yearly average export of goods as a percentage of GDP has declined from 22.9% during the period 2010 to 2014 to 17.4% during the period 2015 to 2023. On the other hand, the consumption-driven growth, that is the model of the previous government, has sharply increased imports. As a result, both the trends in trade and current accounts of the balance of payments have deteriorated and is a source of great concern. In fact, the overall balance of payments, which has traditionally been in surplus, has registered deficits in the last 2 years. It is no wonder at all that there is a severe shortage of foreign currency on the market and that there is pressure on the rupee to depreciate. Fourth, related to the fast depreciation of the rupee, is the surge in the level of prices. Over the period 2022 to 2024, cumulative inflation in Mauritius was 23%. Our record on inflation has been one of the worst when compared to other peer nations. This signals a total failure of monetary policy and exchange rate management. While we were accumulating an inflation rate of 23%, Seychelles, our neighbor next to us, had an inflation rate of only 2.4%. 23% compared to 2.4%. Madam Speaker, as we all know, the poor spend a greater share of the income on food. Prices of food items have increased at a much higher rate than the average inflation rate. Cumulative food price inflation over the period 2022 to 2024 is more than 33% compared to the inflation rate of 23%. In other words, the food inflation has been much more. Therefore, it is no wonder that people have been complaining about the constant rise in the price of food items. But the former Minister of Finance and the former Prime Minister didn't seem to care. They didn't bother about it. Ils ont fait la sourde oreille. After all, it didn't affect them. Fifth, the previous government had one of the worst records in terms of employment creation and labor market development. The employment level in 2023 was lower than in 2019.
The low employment rate, combined with other major weaknesses in the labor market, have become a severe impediment to economic growth. For example, around 23% of the labor force were underutilized in 2023, which includes skills-related and time-related unemployment. Moreover, only about 20% of our labor force has post-education, secondary education. There is a persistent skills mismatch on the labor market. And employers keep complaining about labor shortages in spite of the relatively high unemployment rate. Madam Speaker, our predicament does not end here. 6, the state of public finances have never been as disastrous and shaky as it is now. The previous government has literally dilapidated all the fiscal space of this country. There is absolutely no room for maneuver. This is the legacy of the previous government. They have practiced a policy of terre brûlée. As the French saying goes, Madam Speaker, après moi, le déluge. The budget deficit and the public sector debt figures were largely understated. They're in fact much higher than the population was made to believe. As regards the budget deficit for the fiscal year 2023-24, the revenue was overestimated by 13.8 billion rupees. 13.8. Deliberately, this was done to deliberately reduce the deficit. Yes, 13.8 billion. And after thorough analysis of the figures, the actual budget deficit for 2023-24 turned out to be much higher at 5.7% of GDP instead of 3.9%. I hope people realize we're talking about percentage of high figures. 1.8% means a lot. For this fiscal year, that is 2024-2025, revenue has been overestimated by 16.7 billion rupees. On the one hand, while expenditure has been underestimated by 5 billion rupees. As a result, the deficit would increase by 21.7 billion rupees. The budget deficit as a percentage of GDP is expected to be 6.7% compared to the budget target, which was 3.4%. Even worse, Madam Speaker, the borrowing requirements of government is going through the roof. And we know that in the present context, borrowing requirement is the most relevant indicator of sound public finances because it impacts directly on government debt. The updated borrowing requirements of government works out to be 59.6 billion rupees instead of 38 billion rupees estimated in the budget. In other words, a difference of 21.6 billion rupees, underestimated. I must point out, Madam Speaker, that these figures are on a no policy change. We're not talking about the 14 months, not talking about fuel prices, not talking about bonuses. This is as it is now, without any policy change. The seventh, and by far the biggest blunder of the previous government, is a huge amount of debt it has accumulated through reckless expenditure on white elephant projects, with obvious sinister motives of lining the pockets of the well-known cronies. Madam Speaker, I would like to point out that when I was in office in 2014, the public sector debt ratio was under 60%. In fact, it was 59.5%. Today, it is well above 80%. This is above the statutory limit that the previous government itself had targeted. Updated data, in fact, shows that at the end of June 2024, the public debt ratio stood at 83.4%, well above 80%. Mauritian parents and grandparents have always seen to it that the responsibility is to ensure to their children and grandchildren is to give them the best start possible in life. That's what parents and grandparents do. Yet what has the previous government done? It has been piling national debt on the shoulders of the newborn babies. Indeed, over the last 10 years, the previous government has added, believe it or not, 321 billion rupees to public sector debt. That is an average of 32 billion rupees per year, which means every newborn has a debt of about 500,000 rupees as soon as he or she is born. Indeed, in the increase in debt, there are 26.9 billion rupees that the previous government has had to pay as compensation in relation to ex-BAI, Betamax, and Newtown cases. 19.8 billion rupees resulting from the deliberate depreciation of the rupee. Madam Speaker, our fiscal space has been totally constricted. The more so that all the special funds, that they wouldn't answer questions in Parliament, all these special funds have been completely depleted. Besides high public sector debt, our country is saddled with significant contingent liabilities. The list is very long, but let me enumerate just 5 of them. 1, Metro Express is unable to meet the cost of servicing its loan. Unable. And its loan of 16 billion rupees under the line of credit from India. Unable to do it. Second, the STC had a total deficit of 5.6 billion rupees under the subsidy account and the price stabilization account. Third, as per the Companies Act of 2001, AM Mauritius is deemed to be insolvent. Yes, insolvent. They have recklessly destroyed our national pride. Insolvent. Fourth, Madam Speaker, the Wastewater Management Authority is unable to pay its debt. Unable. It is already in arrears 2.2 billion rupees. And it has, on top of that, outstanding loans of 3.5 billion rupees. Fifth, the Mauritius Post Limited, the Casinos of Mauritius, the National Property Fund, CW and CEB, all of them are in deep financial stress. Furthermore, the statutory bodies' defined pension funds have an actuarial deficit of 47 billion rupees. I can assure the House and the nation, yes, unbelievable, but I can assure the House, Madam Speaker, and the nation that we will bring down the public sector debt to a more sustainable and manageable level. And we will do so not only to balance the book or fix the figures, but most importantly, to relieve our children and grandchildren from the burden of debt imposed on them by the previous government. It is a despicable act on future generations. It is a despicable crime. It borders, ils ont hypothéqué l'avenir de nos jeunes. Totalement. Madam Speaker, our endeavor to deal with the catastrophic legacy inherited from the previous government will be pursued amidst a number of challenges. The most pressing challenges are climate change, the demographic trends, labor market constraints, resource repurposing, restoring the social partnership between government, civil society, unions, and the private sector, educational reforms, which have already started, social upliftment, and institutional reconstruction. Madam Speaker, let me end by giving the assurance to the population that this government will turn around the situation and secure a better future for all and for the next generation as well. The top of our priority will be to implement a credible medium-term fiscal consolidation plan. Our aim is to significantly reduce debt and contingent liabilities so as to minimize the risk to our debt sustainability and ensure medium-term
macroeconomic stability. We will rebuild the fiscal space while safeguarding critical social spending to protect the most vulnerable. The plan will also be towards growth promotion. The more we produce, the more we can share. Madam Speaker, if we want to reclaim fiscal serenity, we need to aim at a primary fiscal balance and pave a pathway to debt ratio of about 60% of GDP. It will be a tough challenge, not only for government, but for the entire nation. It's a challenge. But we have done it before. We can do it again. Madam Speaker, we're not going to go it alone. We will have to work with development partners, international institutions, and friendly countries. Let me reiterate that the previous government has fumbled and jumbled the economic fundamentals. Their mismanagement of the economy and the falsifying of figures have been an unmitigated disaster for our country. It borders on criminal negligence. It borders on that. The incompetence and irresponsibility are baffling, difficult to understand. They have been practicing voodoo economics. That's what they've been doing, voodoo economics. And they should be made to answer for the misdeeds. You cannot just load and then let it go. No way. It borders on criminal negligence, what they've done. Madame la Présidente, nous sommes dans une tempête financière. Il faut d'abord redresser l'économie. That is the priority. I shudder to think, Madam Speaker, what they would have done to our beloved country had the people of this country been not seen through their, what is called, malevolent actions and given them another mandate. Do you realize what would have happened? There is a God for this country. God knows what we would have to cry our beloved country. Because this is what would have happened. They have tried not only to destroy our unity, we've seen during the campaign, attacks on unity. The victory is one of unity, the last election. People showed that they wanted to be unified. It was a victory for unity. They tried to destroy not our unity, our institutions, our economy, and the future of our youth. Fortunately, not one of them got elected. As the people of this country, in their wisdom, has consigned them to the dustbin of history, Madam Speaker. My two honorable friends, I must say they are in a way elected because they got in as the best result. But, Madam Speaker, never, never again should anyone be allowed to destroy our country as these people have done. Never again. We will take up the challenge of tidying up the mess together as a nation, all of us together. But it will take time. Madam Speaker, there is no magic wand. When you've seen the catalogue of what I've just told you, there is no magic wand. There is no magician to pull us out of this economic quagmire. But, Madam Speaker, history has taught us, ever since independence, that we have always been able to overcome the daunting challenges that we have faced as a nation. We have always done so. Today, I stand in this House with confidence that once again, we shall be able to rise up to this mammoth task ahead of us, as one people, as one nation. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Prime Minister. Yes.
Let me, Madam Speaker, can I raise a point of order? Because the statement made by the Honourable Prime Minister falls under the item statement by ministers. Normally, I know that it should not be controversial because we don't have a right to reply. Do I understand that now?
Honourable members, let us listen and let me move.
Yeah. Do I understand that now statement by ministers can be controversial?
I didn't hear, okay, let me rule, please. I didn't hear the Prime Minister attack any member of Parliament. In Standing Order 40, we have contents of speeches. It is only if he had attacked, let's just say one of you, or anybody, then we could have said that it is not acceptable. I think what the Prime Minister has done here, I've been a member here for 15 years, this has been current. So maybe it hurts a little bit. I would suggest Honourable, may I speak, please? I would suggest, Honourable Leader of the Opposition, that, of course, you can't reply to what he's saying today. There will be other instances where maybe you will get a chance to come back on issues that have been raised, but I don't think we can condemn the Prime Minister on a point of order. So I will not allow this point of order. Adjournment?
Yes, Madam Speaker. I'd like to move for the adjournment of the House to Tuesday, the 17th of December, 2024 at 11:30 a.m.
The House stands adjourned. Adjournment matters? Yes? I caught her eye first, second, third. Okay, three for the moment, and then on this side. Adjournment matters?
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for allowing me to raise an important issue in this statement. Of particular concern to me and my constituents is the present delivery of health services in Rodrigues. That this House do take note that the population of Rodrigues is nearing 44,000. I am informed that at present, Rodrigues Island counts only one physiotherapist in service, together with 4 physiotherapy assistants who are on the job training in mainland Mauritius. Given the high number of patients requiring treatment for a broad spectrum of physical problems and the like treatment, health promotion and illness prevention, I call upon the relevant authorities to respond urgently to remedy the situation, especially that the authorities contemplate the recruitment of additional physiotherapists as well as additional physiotherapy assistants at the earliest in the interest of the people of Rodrigues. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do I respond?
Yes, yes. Don't give us too lengthy replies, please.
No. I have taken note of your request, and I'll see to it that the needful will be done to provide you with an additional therapist.
Who hasn't spoken here? Je donne une chance à ceux qui n'ont jamais parlé. Je crois, hein? Je ne suis pas sûre.
Merci, Madame. J'ai une demande à l'honorable Patrick Assiavadet, s'il pouvait demander à la CWA d'allouer une deuxième pressure filter d'un volume de 2000, ce qui permettra de supply, comme on dit, 2500 mètres cubes d'eau potable à Mar d'Australia, puisque l'eau y est abondante et l'actuel pressure filter d'un volume de 1200 mètres cubes est insuffisant. Donc, un pressure filter additionnel permettra d'alimenter au moins 1/5 de la circonscription numéro 9. Merci.
Noted, Madam Speaker.
Yes, Mr. François.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the issue I'm raising this afternoon is addressed to the Honourable Prime Minister. So with regards to the actual non-availability of seats on the Mauritius flights on the Mauritius route during this end-of-year period for our Rodrigues brothers and sisters stranded patients here. Many patients have already been discharged from hospitals, and I'm informed that they've been advised to wait after mid-January to secure a seat on Air Mauritius. As Speaker, you realize their concerned situation while staying in hospitals without any accommodation nor any financial support. You will also note that the Commission for Health of the Regional Assembly have been in default payment at a private hotel accommodation for our Rodrigues patients and accompanies transferred to Mauritius. Now, Speaker, I would humbly request the Honourable Prime Minister and the Prime Minister's Office to intervene towards Mauritius to schedule additional flight on a humanitarian ground to facilitate their repatriation either before Christmas or before New Year, which also will provide additional seats to over many persons seeking to secure one. Thank you.
Yes, Madam Speaker, if I may respond, I find it shocking what the honourable member is saying. On a humanitarian ground even, it's shocking. But this is what I've been saying. They've destroyed their Mauritius. This is probably what's the reason they can't find flies, whatever they do. But I will certainly look into it and make sure that they go.
Members, one here, one Dr. Amir, then Mr. Sabapati, and then there are too many. We won't be able to reach time. Also, remember, you can put a question for next Tuesday, a real question. Okay? So if it is urgent, I said, young man here, I'm sorry, I can't remember.
Yes, Madam Speaker, thank you. My request is addressed to Honourable Minister of Energy and Public Utilities. There is an acute problem of water shortage since several months in my constituency number 6, especially in Goodlands, Grand Gobe, Vallée, Fond-du-Sac, Petit-Raffray, Carledine, Grand Bay, Fond-du-Sac, Cap-Maléré. So I request Honourable Minister to address this issue, please.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Noted, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, my request is addressed to the Honourable Minister of National Infrastructure. I make a humble request to the Minister in regards to the highly flood-prone village of Poste de Flacq in constituency number 9 that needful be made for the dredging of rivers and cleaning of drains as soon as possible. I would like to point out that Honourable Prime Minister did a site visit 6 months before and insisted that these tasks be done regularly.
Yes, Minister, taking note.
I take note, and I'm sure that my honourable friend knows that we had a meeting with the local authorities for the cleaning of drains and rivers.
Good. Now, Dr. Umia.
My request is addressed to the Minister of National Infrastructure. It's regarding Avenue Rouget and La Bonite Lane in Sorez, Pai, whereby the roads have been completely destroyed since Cyclone Bilal, making it even difficult for people to have access to their residence. I urge you to see if your ministry can see to it that at least now that we have a new government, repairs are started.
I take note.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ma demande, je m'adresse au ministre de la Jeunesse et des Sports concernant l'état déplorable de la piscine de Mont-d'Albert, surtout en cette période de vacances où les enfants n'ont pas pu profiter de cette facilité. Donc, je demande au ministre si le nécessaire peut être fait très rapidement. Merci.
I take good note, Honourable Member. A meeting is scheduled for Thursday next, and you can accompany with Honourable Members for the constituency.
Good. What? Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Humble request to the Honourable Minister of Public Utilities, Honourable Patrick Asiavaden. Nous avons dans la circonscription de gros problèmes en ce qui concerne la fourniture et la distribution en eau, sachant que durant ces 5 dernières années, il y a eu un senior ministre qui occupait ce même poste, mais là, malheureusement, la situation est restée inchangée et on compte sur vous pour résoudre ce problème. Merci.
Madame la Présidente, c'est noté.
Très bien. Très bien. Qui y avait encore? Oui.
My question is addressed to the Honourable Minister of Land Transport. Can we review the timings, the duration, the time that they have to wait in my constituency from Bois Chéri, Grand Bois, La Flora for bus services in the morning and as well as evening, including Benares and Basmari? Thank you.
Yes. Madam Speaker, I take note of the concern raised by the Honourable Member and I will look into it.
Yes, there was someone on this side. Yes.
My question is addressed to Minister of Treasury. I want to know, with the reform coming for education, to the status of credit to be admitted to HSC, and what about the standing of the polytechnics of Montablanc, which was initially a project of the previous government meant for tertiary education, whether it will stand as we are met together to have much more students at HSC levels. Thank you.
If
each one of them, what is the capacity they're using, and I'll come back. I understand that we do have spare capacity that can be used for running other programs.
Thank you, everybody. Last question. Last question.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My request is addressed to the Honorable Minister of Sport. We have an issue with Cité CIM of Rivière du Rempart where access is very restricted to fire services and maybe even ambulances because of the football grounds wall. So I will request an urgent visit with our colleagues, deputies and ministers of the constituency to remedy the situation. Thank you.
May I just remind members that if you want to send questions, I'm sorry, please.
Good note.
Thank you. I'm sorry. If you want to send questions, you have until tomorrow, 2 p.m. to send your questions. And now we have agreed, we discussed during lunchtime, we have agreed that there will be tirage au sort. But it will be done in a very strict and serious fashion. Okay? So don't forget, before 2 o'clock, because some of you haven't reached your questions, you see. So we'll have to give a chance to everyone. Thank you very much. Oui, il va ramasser. Il y a plein de
Thank you.